Got it.
Oh, hello, it's Tamara Hunter, and today is day number 289 of 365 days of awesome. Celebrate success through service. And I am just tickled pink, but I'm not wearing it right now. That I have someone I've wanted to have on for a while, Cynthia Cherise Murphy, as our service hero. Let me brag a little bit, and then we're going to talk. This woman, I can't even wait to ask her a few questions because I found out even more than I'm thinking, oh, that doesn't surprise me at all, because she is into so many things. Oh, hello, everybody that's showing up. We have Hermilo, thank you for being here. And Tommy Lee, one of our favorite designers, thank you for being here and supporting us today. This woman, Cynthia, is absolutely one of the most inspirational women that I know. And it's really funny. She has this quiet way about her, and yet she's a runway model. I mean, and everything in between. She has a heart, and she's out making a difference in the world by educating and inspiring and just being there for so many that for so long we're feeling really isolated and alone and wanting to hide. So welcome, Cynthia. Welcome. I'm so excited.
I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for being here. We already have people showing up. I'm so excited, Anne, Amy, and Catherine. And so, I have one question to ask you because this one really kind of was like, I can kind of see it, but then again, I wasn't sure. When you went to college, you studied criminology, right?
Yes, I did a mixture of legal justice studies, criminal justice, psychology, forensics, criminology, and now I'm into public health.
Okay, I see the public health. I totally get that one.
Yeah.
The other, I have to say, it was like, okay, maybe she liked Columbo or something back in the day, or that dates me, or murder mysteries, or whodunits, and yes, all sorts of stuff. So tell us.
Well, growing up with a craniofacial condition and going through a lot of abuse in my childhood, I went through sexual, physical, mental abuse, and then I went to school just to get more. So I had a lot of mental issues. I went through a lot of reconstructive plastic surgeries, and I was on a lot of prescription drugs. And in all that, I think growing up I didn't watch too much TV as a child, but once I was 18, I developed an interest in crime shows, learning about the psychological nature of why we have mental conditions, because I had so many of them. I wanted to know. It just piqued my interest from the very beginning. And so I worked at my first law firm before I even graduated high school. Well, I actually dropped out of high school because I just got so overwhelmed, and I just went to work for this law firm. And, I realized I needed to go to school. So he helped me. The attorney I worked for helped me to graduate high school at 19 because I dropped out at, I think I was 16, 17. And so I was able to do that. And then I got into college and I dropped out of college. It was just too hard going on to the grounds and dealing with the, because you get discrimination and you get bullied at college too for looking different. Yeah. So then I met Thane when I was 19 after, dropping out of college, and everything just unfolded for me. And he said I was smart and that I should go back to school, and I wanted to do legal justice studies and then criminal justice. I landed a job at one of the leading law firms in Las Vegas, Nevada, where we lived for 3 years. So that was like one of my favorite jobs because there was so much variety and work culture in that.
Well, I can see this. Now you went to Purdue, right?
I'm going to Purdue right
Oh,
now
you're
for
going to Purdue right
master's.
now for your
Yeah.
master's. Okay. See, this does not surprise me because I know you are quite intelligent, and I know that you've got a lot going on in there. You know, I can read that 100%. Anybody that's around you has that, you know, knows, and yet you're so kind. It's like, oh, you know, such a balance. And it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense now that you would choose to go that route, because you know why? It makes a lot of sense in how you act. You are attacking, if you will, or you're not attacking, but you are going after your life because you become proactive in areas that you see that there's a need. So it makes sense if you were having these issues that were, you know, you were facing at young ages. No one wants to. I mean, I know I'm in the middle of it with Amy Morrison right now. We're doing these public service announcements for the nonprofit that was chosen for our team in the Next Impactor. And it's a
Yeah.
program to help young girls that have self-esteem issues. And I'm learning that bullying is a real problem for these girls at junior
Yeah.
high and high school, that, you know, the violence that takes place during dating, if you're not aware and your self-esteem is low, you know. And so this is an after school program to help raise that self-esteem. And
Wow.
so and it's been hard for Amy and I to be really diving into this because it's tough stuff. And so when you can feel empowered, right? That empowerment, I get it. Now the you know, the puzzle pieces are going together, Cynthia.
Wow. That's
So
amazing.
you know, it is. And in fact, before we went live, I was talking to you about asking you a question, you know, about the fact that I had dealt with a couple of my children when they were younger, and one of them was born with torticollis. And I was asking you about it, and you looked it up, and what did you find?
I found that it's actually under the umbrella of craniofacial conditions. It's also known as Mobius, facial paralysis, facial muscular dystrophy. So they're anything that involves a disfigurement of craniofacial conditions. There's about 100 conditions underneath the umbrella of craniofacial.
And so, and then I was telling you about another one of my kids that was into extreme sports and stuff, and ended up bashing in one side of his face and had to have a maxillofacial surgeon. And so, you know, it was like the moral of the story as we were talking is that today, nowadays, if you're lucky enough to have the resources and have access to many of the physicians, there are some situations that are being taken care of through surgery, through um, different modalities. And one of your things also is also by being healthy and making good choices for food, right?
Yes, I emphasize that, but not only that, there is a detrimental lack of expertise in the field of craniofacial differences. So there's a lot of surgeons that do not have the right amount of experience to be working on people, and they recommend all these surgeries. I mean, there are babies getting surgeries. There's this one little boy I know, he's had 100 surgeries, and they're reconstructing his jaw. And the horrible part of that is the human body doesn't stop developing until you're about 25. So my doctor was world renowned. He wouldn't even work on me until I was like 12. So, and my first jaw surgery, I was 19, and that was even too early, and it did more damage by collapsing my airways. So I should have, in reality, waited for the jaw surgery until I was like 25. So I emphasize choosing medically necessary surgeries and doing your research, finding renowned doctors. Dr. Justine Lee at UCLA. She's an excellent doctor. She knows what she's doing. She's actually on the the same, not the same team, I don't believe, but the same building as Gina Davis's ex-husband. I'm not sure if they're still married, but he's a craniofacial surgeon as well. So yeah, they're in the same building, UCLA. I mean, they just know what they're doing, and that's so important because a lot of my friends, they've been botched. My friends here ended up on her face. As children, we looked identical, and we don't look identical like as adults because she went through a lot of botched procedures.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I do know that when I went through my education, because I literally, with the one that was doing the extreme, he was doing basketball, and they did have to do something because his side of his face just was bashed in, and it was pinching a nerve, and so his whole face was like, melting, and he didn't have any control of it, and so they had to do something. And I actually asked, was this going to be, because he was in high school at the time, and I asked, would this be something that would need to be redone? And the thing that was, because we had really good, surgeons, what was assured to me is that the body has an amazing way to, like, if it's built a certain way, that it will grow. Like they can put it back together again. I kept thinking Humpty Dumpty is being put back together to my child, but that as he grew, that most likely it would all just grow together, and that's what happened. And so you look now, and there would be, it's like, which side was that again? Because it really was. It was surprising to me how it could be so devastating. Where, I mean, I was just devastated, and then it's like it was taken care of. And so I really did. I remember thinking, what do people do that are in other areas of the world that they don't have this kind of help? They don't have these kind of resources. And now to hear that, even, and I don't mean to say even in, but that here, even, I bet you could just say even regionally, because you were highlighting UCLA, and that there's different, I'm sure, research hospitals that are cutting edge and probably have these amazing resources and doctors that not even everybody in the United States gets to have access to that. Right. And you are out there right now raising awareness, aren't you? And helping those that have something to do with the cranial. How do you say that again? Craniofacial? Craniofacial. Yes. Okay, yes. Awareness. And this is the last day of Craniofacial Awareness Month, right? It's July.
It is, but we're pushing, because in September there's Craniofacial Acceptance Month, so we're pushing this campaign that we're doing that you and I were discussing earlier. We're pushing it through the whole way. So, because in order to go viral and to gain the awareness that you need, you have to keep promoting and keep gathering the people that are involved.
Right. Right. And so what you're doing, and it's hashtag Brave Faces, right?
Yes. Myself and fellow craniofacial advocates created the Brave Faces campaign, and it's where we're recording 1 to 2 minute videos showing the world are beautiful. A lot of people born with these conditions have facial deformities, so they hide behind the computer screen. They're not very social. You won't even see a profile photo for them because they're so ashamed of their face. And going out into the public and getting stares, I still get those sometimes, but it doesn't affect me like it did before. And primarily but because of my diet and getting rid of the prescription drugs, which I'll get into later. But the basis of this campaign is to get everybody out from behind the scenes and to embrace your face and to say whatever message that it is that you want to say, and just inspire and empower others to do the same. It's a movement.
And I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Brave faces. And hashtag brave faces, because I've talked about it. You know, I was born with my mouth deformed, and I had to have multiple years of braces and headgear, and I had to wear it to school. And so, you know, I was that awkward kid that, got, but I'm old enough now, older than dirt, that, we didn't call it bullying. We just called it teasing, but it's not just. And did it hurt? It did, up into a certain time. And then, thank goodness I ended up with really great friends and mentors and people in my world that helped me to find my self-esteem that wasn't attached to what others were thinking was, my weakness or my problem, right? That we all have such uniqueness in us, and it takes others sometimes to help you to see that. Right.
Yes, it does. Exactly, 100%.
And so that's why the Brave Faces campaign, and I actually did go in, and you can't help but just kind of fall in love with these people that were brave enough to do the videos, right?
Yeah, and it's growing. I have gotten so many video submissions. I have actually been blocked by Facebook from posting more than 1 to 2 videos a day. So I had to tell everyone, okay, well, the way around this is that you could share your video, use the hashtag, and I'll be the conduit to share all of your videos across social media. Because that's the way to gain traction on any kind of campaign, public service announcement, is to really share in efforts to bring about that awareness.
Bingo. A light just went on for me. Oh my gosh. Thank you. Thank you. You're amazing. You're amazing. So you're bringing this awareness to Brave Faces, and as you drink your green drink, and there is something to that, right? There's something to being healthy. And I know that you and your husband are really into that. Now, you are married to this amazing man. I'm going to show a picture of the two of you. You're so cute together. So adorable.
Oh, thank you. Oh, yes, that's true. We've been married 13 years.
13, happy anniversary, whenever that is. But, 13 years, that is amazing. That is something to be, and the thing about you two that I absolutely I'm so inspired, because you both are hardworking. You've been through, we all are through life, but you've been very vocal and out there and visible in regards to it. And your husband, he's a chef, and he's also been losing weight, right? I mean, getting healthy and been open about it.
Yes. Well, we both have disabilities, and his disability is more of the one you can't really see, because he got into an accident while he was on duty in the Marine Corps. And that was before we met. In fact, for years we had problems with his family, because he was so different after getting into that accident and getting a traumatic brain injury and getting the PTSD and the agoraphobia, not wanting to leave the house. He pulled a gun on himself. August 2012, I came home from work. I was in full-time school. I was on all these prescription drugs, and I wasn't really happy inside. I was dying a lot. But coming home and seeing that I wasn't being as available as I needed to be with my husband, who had so supported me through all these years, really was a wake-up call. And, I mean, he was pre-diabetic, obese. We both had just illnesses, and we both almost died from them. And I just think one day, we just realized we're so close. We talk about everything. We've stuck it out all these years. And what is going on? And so we just started realizing the importance of health and wellness, and really how contaminated our environment is. Our water supplies have sewage, lead, mercury in them. So our water supplies are contaminated. This is our public water supply. So we only drink reverse osmosis water. And then you got the food supplies that are contaminated with GMOs, pesticides, nitrates. There are so many different contaminants in our food. We're the over malnourished country and most underfed country in the nation, in the world. So having all of these environmental defects is taking a toll on our people, the environment, the animals. There is incredible amounts of abuse happening behind closed doors to animals that we are consuming that energy. Not only are you getting all the hormones that they're feeding into these animals, you're getting the energy of them living in a very, very small, minimal space in their own feces, being kicked around. I mean, hot dogs are made out of chicks, live chicks thrown into a grinder.
Oh,
I mean, they just have no regard for animal life, and we decided we didn't want to be a part of that. We're avid supporters of PETA. We're very close to that organization. We've been cooking for celebrities. We have an award-winning app and website, Assuaged. And so we've been really blessed to go into private homes of celebrities and at private parties and City Summit, City Gala, Kiss the Monkeys, and to really educate on nutrition, because Thane graduated with a degree, summa cum laude, in nutrition, and now he's going for a doctorate degree in naturopathy. And so we really just kind of honed in on all of our knowledge and our experience, because after going healthy and becoming vegans and really emphasizing on organic so we could weed out all those it's basically a toxic-free diet. You have to eliminate certain foods that are really contaminated, like corn and soy. Even the organic forms, you can never be so sure because there's just so much misinformation out there. So we're really we're bridging the gap to really provide what accurate information and what optimal way you can live. And one of that is Purium Health Products. We are part of the organization. The owner is on our board. So these superfoods are backed by Halle Berry, the Kardashians. Purium products have really enhanced our lives in terms of getting the nutrients that you need, like immediately.
Immediately. So like you ingest it and immediately it goes into the cell?
Yeah, I would say it's a cellular healing drink, because whenever I go without this, I end up getting UTIs, yeast infections. My body, this is the only thing that I have had in my life this last year that I have directly documented and noticed, like, okay, so when Thane and I are traveling and we get busy and I kind of get lazy and let's just go to Whole Foods and get our juices, and I don't, I take my Biomedic, which is a gut detox, but I sometimes will forget to take my shakes, and then I come down with immunity illnesses all over. So this has definitely been something that I know is backed by celebrities as well as our own personal experience.
Okay. I believe that I totally believe that what you bring into your body is, good or bad. You have to deal with what you did, that decision, because we as humans that have the thinking power, we have that choice that we can make, and we can make choices for that something good and something that's not good. I did find this meme. I put it up there for a second, and I want to put it back up. I love this one about that you reboot, or, you're always upgrading your cell phone and other devices, your car, your computer, and yet we're not upgrading, and we're not thinking about learning the newer and what is the best out there. I mean, when you're going for a cell phone, oh, you're like, okay, I'm going to do my research, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's it's interesting because we don't stop to think that if we focus on getting healthy, that could allow us to be more optimal. That could allow you to see things that you're missing. Something with Dane and I is that we have the tendency to get through life problems, any kind of issues, any kind of anything that happens so easily because our perspective, our ability to discern is so clear because we're not putting toxins in our body. I mean, granted, you can't avoid every single toxin, but that's why, this company, Purium, they have their products to offer as a fill-in, not to replace what you eat at home, but you really want to minimize going out to restaurants. Like, for example, Panera Bread, they had an E. coli outbreak. People are not paid enough to care if your food is properly washed and sanitized or cooked or what have you. There are just considerations. So that could be something motivating in itself. Additionally, just sticking with, the organics and really staying away from seafood. There's bunch of oil spills that have happened in the ocean. So you're consuming microplastics. I mean, there's just so many things, so many contaminants in the seafood, in the water, in the meat supplies. And why would you want to put any of it in your body if you want to function optimally?
Okay, I don't. I'm thinking, okay, that's sticky, like I'm smelling it. I'm like, oh,
I
it's like,
love seafood. I loved it. It was my favorite, and eggs. And unfortunately, it's like it is what it is. And I am so much happier mentally, physically. I'm happier, because you get all that toxic energy in those foods. It really is not good for you.
okay, so I did notice something that I pulled because one of my dear friends has been touting the celery, celery juice, celery. Is it really all that it's cracked up to be? Or
You know,
up to be, or
it's primarily water. It is really good. You can go between the celery juice, or in the morning you could do ginger and lemon on an empty stomach. There are numerous of different things that you could do. We've been also promoting food combining because there are certain foods that you should not eat with other foods because once they enter your body, it gets all confused because you're consuming so many different types of foods. This is something Thane has just learned in his study, so I'm just learning about it. But I thought it was really interesting. Like rice and lentils are good together. You want to kind of keep the fruits with the fruits, and you want to tend to eat fruits on empty stomach, and you want to keep your veggies with the veggies. So it's kind of interesting.
so they like to roll with their kind, if you will. The fruits like to go there with the fruits, and the veggies like to go with the veggies, and
Yeah.
the rice and the lentils like to do their deal together too. And so I'm thinking, okay, I keep it simple is how I like to roll, because it's like, okay, if I get too like confused, then I end up just shutting down. Now, Health and Wellness Beach Festival. This
I
is
was just
something
going to send you a message on that. I need to introduce you to Brian. Yes, we just got involved in that. We are so excited.
So tell us about it.
It is going to be held in Santa Monica, and Brian, he reached out to us. We met him at Kiss the Monkeys, and basically, it's going to be kind of like a veg fest. We're looking into getting food trucks there. We got a bunch of sponsors and donations that we're just really a part of this whole project that he has kind of brought everyone together, and it really ties well into what we're doing because there needs to be more of an emphasis on health and wellness. If you really want to help people and you really want to get a message across, it has to be involved into health and wellness.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I had to ask because this picture is like so amazingly beautiful. Is that actually something that
That was one of the, we shared that on Instagram. That wasn't our photo. We did do rolls, but I believe that was the raw, I forget her name, but she's on Instagram. She does amazing photos.
And it was like,
and it's vegan.
Is that food? It's like, are those candles? I was trying to figure it out because they're beautiful, right?
Oh, they're delicious. Yeah.
Oh, they're good too, huh?
Yes.
Oh, yum.
We did spring rolls at the last kiss, or not the last one. We did pierogies, and we made mushroom scallops. Like there are no compromises when it comes to vegan food. It's just taking plant-based varieties and manipulating them to come out like meat. Like you could make fried chicken out of tofu by squeezing it, putting it in the freezer, letting it to thaw, squeezing it, putting it in the freezer, letting it to thaw, and then it comes out to this meaty texture, and you bread it, and then you deep fry it, or however you want to make your veganized chicken. And there's just so many different ways, and you don't have to use dairy, cheese, meat, seafood, anything.
Okay, let's talk. Cheese.
Cheese.
Oh. That would be a hard one for me. I have to be honest, total disclosure. We all have our thing, and I like cheese.
Everybody likes cheese. There's a reason for that.
Okay, what is it?
Well, first of all, you're getting coagulated cow pus in there with the hormones, so they're fully infectious. These cheeses and dairy is among the most inflammatory agent existent. In fact, before I had gone vegan, and my husband as well, my craniofacial swelling, I had swelling here, and I have pictures of that. And after being vegan 1 year, you could see my brain, my craniofacial swelling went down astronomically.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
I mean, in seriousness, I know that I try to be relatively good. I really do. But, the truth is the truth. And so it's like, why hide from it? And so I've been a self-proclaimed cheeseaholic for a while. And it sounds like I need to kind of do something about that, because that's not what you're explaining to me right now. I think that was enough to kind of like, I'm not interested right now.
Well, it's a process. We didn't go vegan overnight or even organic. We just started revamping our kitchen. Like, okay, mayonnaise. Let's go see if we can find a vegan farm. And so it was a process in that. And really, you can get more information about, becoming a vegan by watching the documentaries, What the Health, Hungry for Change. Those are on Netflix, I believe, as well as Amazon. There are just so many informative documentaries out there that will really help pave the way for you to understand what it is that you are actually supporting. And another thing to know is that we were spending like $1,700 a month on food alone, and now we're only spending $700, and we're really healthy. And because when you're eating organic vegan foods, you're eating natural nutrition. Therefore, you're not hungry all the time. When you're eating food, you're always getting hungry because your body's not receiving. It's not understanding what it is receiving. It's like, hey, you didn't feed me, so give me some more.
Right. And that's how obesity and diabetes and all of the different things that people deal with, it's because of those empty calories, correct? And so then people they're still hungry and they're not satisfied. And there really is something to this. I did see this and I thought, well, for those people that like chocolate, there it is.
I love that. We made homemade vegan fudge and brownies. I mean, and you wouldn't even know the difference.
Oh, I bet. Well, I have had some of your morsels and yummy stuff at some of the events that we've been at, and you guys are always so generous to put out just amazing selection of goodies, or, try this, do that. And I have to say, there hasn't been one thing that I've tried that I haven't thought, wow, I could do this. I could do this all day long. Probably not good for me because I'm thinking, okay, I shouldn't be eating those cookies like that all the time. However, they're really good.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh,
And you're saying, yeah, these are good for you too.
yeah. I'm lucky. Thane really has an innate talent to cook anything. I mean, he made handmade pierogies at the last Kiss the Monkeys party that we did, and it's just he can make anything happen.
And he's a busy man. Okay, so let's transition to that. I saw, in fact, the night of the big gala, he's all dressed in a suit, yet he's still, here, there, and he's moving here and there, and he's like a man with a mission. And I'm like, I'm not going to get in the way of that, because I know that's a man with a mission that's going to help a lot of people to take care of their tummies. And so, it's like you don't want to get in the way of that. And yet let's talk about that. You are actually, I want to go here first. You transformed. You've been, and in fact, I was with Teresa Snyder in Las Vegas for the Soul Central Awards, one of the times that Kiss the Monkeys had an event, and I couldn't be at both places, but we could through Facebook, because you got
Oh yeah,
because I didn't want to miss you on on the red carpet, or being the supermodel that you are, or doing the runway around that pool. And so we were like, okay, like we didn't miss it because we actually left early so that we could see you. Yeah, and we had it there, and we're watching it, and then we saw you, and then I got to see you live at this last one, and you're actually a model that is wearing a high-end designer couture, or gowns, and I don't even, you can tell I'm not into that world so much, but amazing, what do you call them, creations?
The fashion designs are absolutely
Fashion designs. Okay.
We have Tommy Lee. Kiss the Monkeys has really just created such a beautiful movement, and so we have Tommy Lee, Vero Cruz, we have Lucci, and so these designs at the Kiss the Monkey galas are just so beautiful, and I've been blessed to be a part of it, because 10 years ago I went to America's Next Top Model, and I auditioned, and I was basically laughed out of the auditorium. I mean, it was really hurtful. And so at that point, I was like, I'm never going to do this again. I'm not going to be treated. I'll do something else. I always had that kind of mindset that I will fight back, but I'll do it in a different way. And so I just never saw myself recircling back to this realm. And even though it's been I pushed myself beyond my comfort zones, and Thane has really helped me, because I wasn't even really in the, you still have these insecurities. And when I first started modeling at Kiss the Monkeys, I was terrified. You could see the pictures on the runway, and you could just see the look on my face. When Vero handed me the dress, she handed me the shortest dress. My butt cheeks were showing a little bit. And I was like, going through all the sexual abuse of a child, and then having a short dress. I don't even wear dresses. I've always been a pants girl because of that. And so that was something like I almost walked out, but a part of me was like, I have to do this. And so I went with it, terrified as I was. And now I have this confidence. We started a craniofacial modeling sector, craniofacialmodeling.com. Vero is training craniofacial girls and boys, and we're doing our first show in November.
I actually went there and I watched it, and I was so, I was like, oh, this is so cool. I mean, they're walking and they're black, right? And then, like, okay, catwalk movement, it's like, and I'm like, okay. And that is the best, because I just do know, because when I was that shy kid that I was, my mom found opportunities. I thought it was not so much the opportunities that later I embraced, but it was to do that. It was to get out of your comfort zone, you know, opportunities to dance or to do anything like this, because that's how we grow, right?
And you inspire and you empower. And I think that's the biggest takeaway I've had from this experience is that I've been an advocate for 4 or 5 years as it was before. I wasn't even comfortable being involved with the craniofacial organizations or other people with my condition. I didn't want to share that space with them because I didn't want to be identified as having a disability. And I think now that I've gotten beyond that and I could be an advocate and show people the right way. Modeling has been a really big part of that. I have young girls that, one young lady I met last year at the craniofacial retreat felt that she was ugly and couldn't get a boyfriend. And then I see her this year at this last retreat and she wants to be a model now.
I love it.
So,
I love it.
It was just amazing and countless, because these retreats that I go to, there's like 1,000 people, and then the picnic, and to have all these, children especially, giving them that window of hope that it's okay to go out and be something that normally they say the stereotypes that beauty is a certain type of look, but really beauty is inclusive and it should be.
Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely, yes, yes, and yes, and thank you for that. In fact, I remember we were in Arizona, and you and Jenny,
Jenny.
yes, Jenny, we love her. You guys were there for that event, right? We got a chance to get together, and I will say this: something that happened made me think multiple times afterwards. And that was, we all need to be more aware of the toxins that we're breathing and the things in our environment, because and possibly some of us don't get the same kind of results or reaction because our bodies right now are not as clean as they probably should be. And I really thought about that because there was a moment in time that the toxins were kind of strong in the air, and you felt them, right?
Yes, I have dealt with a lot of problems regarding the toxins in our environment. Having a craniofacial condition, I have restricted airways, so my airway, my that I do have is like that, but that's all I'm getting.
Okay.
Because of the first jaw surgery. So I was supposed to get a second jaw surgery to fix that, but the risks were too big for me. And I've overcome everything. And and we live at 7,300 feet elevation in the mountains. So we're above all the pollution. If you come up here to visit us, the mountain air is so clean and crisp. When I go down the hill and there's a fire or something, I can't even like breathe. And in going in LA, I have issues breathing down there opposed to like when I'm home.
Right. That says a lot. That right there says a lot in that we don't think about it because we can maneuver through it. And so and I actually had like this horrible headache today, and I'm thinking, what in the world is it? And then I realized I hadn't drank. Yeah, it's probably some of that too, but I hadn't drank enough water too. And I thought about it, I need to drink more water, because our bodies will tell us these things. And
go
ahead. No, go ahead.
The EMT, the electric magnetic currents that we have in cell phone towers, they're bringing up 5G, which is going to be detrimental. They banned 5G from several countries. I mean, they tested it and birds just fall out of the sky. The electronic powerful currency that comes out of that is damaging to the body. We don't have cell phone towers and stuff up in here in the mountains. So down there, that's why you're getting all those headaches. You're getting all that electronic energy as well. And water is something that's a necessity as well, but that's a factor.
Yeah, and that makes total sense. And in fact, I had a huge discussion about that very subject. There was a few of us that were teasing, some that believe and some that don't, but they're like, okay, Mercury's out of here, like in the next 24 hours, like, okay, you've been playing some shenanigans on us all, and you can go home now.
Right? Yes, Mercury in retrograde ends tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay, so you have been very philanthropic with a lot of different things that you do. Tell us about this hearing aids situation.
So we just gifted our third or our fourth hearing aid actually. And there are a lot of individuals, families, particularly and their children denied by insurance. These devices are about $7,000. And a lot of times they'll recommend two, and you can get it surgically, which is I got one done surgically, or you can get this little band and they go on there, they clip on, but they're so expensive and in many states inaccessible. So we have, self-funded these devices, and as well as our business, which is all charitable, because that's the way the new world is going to be. It's going to be charitable based, because all this other stuff that's happening, it's not sustainable. Our world is dying, and there's a lot of factors that play into that. So we have got to be giving and just try to continuously encourage people to pay it forward. And I think that's where Thane and I have really, once we got so healthy and capable and realized what a advantaged position that we're in to be able to give back. I mean, it's really been to do that.
And this is one from a little while ago, and you have a couple of different causes. It makes total sense with the one that you represent, and then the fact that Thane comes from the military, and thank him for his service. Absolutely. And there's too many people that are and I think those are even old numbers now, because that's an older post, but I know a lot of people that are very involved in that one area of raising funds and awareness to help with our veterans. And it's a complicated issue because there are so many different, splinters that go off that, it's like there's not one solution. It needs to have multiple solutions looked at. And so, but that's a part of your nature, and that's something that I've seen from the very beginning, and that I think is why, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that's why you are attracted to organizations such as Kiss the Monkeys and City Gala, because they're both philanthropic based groups, right?
Yeah. And they've really opened a space for us, because before last year, when we were spending a lot of time with Craig and Jenny and doing their retreats, Thane would not leave the house. Having PTSD incurred by a military accident is not something to be taken lightly. I mean, he even had a mini breakdown a few months ago. I mean, it's an ongoing thing, and people with craniofacial conditions, they also have PTSD. It's just a different form, but you still have those moments of anxiety, and I think that's why we've kind of combined these matters, because the health and wellness aspect of it, a lot of it will be reduced, if not eliminated, if you could just emphasize on what it is you're putting in your body and how it's affecting you mentally, physically, socially, environmentally. It all ties in together.
I see what I mean about her being amazing, guys. And thank you. Okay, so explain this.
Oh, he's a puppy. Oh, that's the one of the third-eyed pinecone pictures. Yeah, that's not ours.
I had to capture a few of these because they're so adorable. Okay, so tell us the story of this.
We have 3 little chihuahuas. That's not our doggy, but our chihuahuas, they have third-eyed pine cones that they wear. And pine cones, stones are a part of the earth, and they, for centuries have been used for healing and for, I guess you could say, in some parts of manifestations, clearing energy blockages, protecting yourself from the harmful electronic current. Like, we have the radiation glove. This is my cell phone, and this is a little stone piece. It's not third eye pine cones, but it protects me. Like, my headaches have greatly reduced since using my phone and having this little, I think it's like only $30, and sometimes you might have to replace the sticky part of it, but I haven't had to replace it, and I've had it for well over 8 months. So I mean, it's, the stones are very healing. You got the around the gold, that's real gold, which is a vital component for the body, and this is the middle of a pine cone, which pine cones have been for centuries a really symbolic tool. It's at the Vatican. They have pine cones emphasized at the Vatican, the Freemasons. It's a very strong spiritual embodiment of wholeness, oneness.
Interesting. Well, this is fascinating stuff, and I'm sure that, you know, because you have so much going on. It's like, as I was going here and I'm thinking, okay, I could really talk about that, and then I could talk about this, and then I really want to go here, and then, you know, it's like, okay, we could do like 3 segments and probably not even cover everything, because you are so incredibly fascinating. And the bottom line on it is that your spirit and your soul and your heart and your, you know, your will to just keep going, and then to not be in hiding as you are doing that, and sharing it with others and the world, and saying you can too, and doing it with a walk, you know, going down the walkway, or the
and I was smiling. I told Vero the other day at the UCLA Craniofacial Picnic, I'm like, why do models look so mad? Why are they all like, and because I went on the runway and I was all smiling. I felt like it was something I was more comfortable doing. I gotta work on those serious facial where you smile with your eyes.
They're smiling with their eyes. I was wondering about that same thing. They look like they're grumpy, and I always think it's because they must be hungry.
Yeah, they do. I was just totally like, well, I want to look happy when I'm on the runway. Why can't I smile? But they don't discourage it, so that's
good.
Really awesome. Yeah.
Okay. Well, then if I ever decided to do something like that, wink, wink, yeah, right. Then I could be out there like doing the smile thing.
Yeah.
Well, you know, as we start wrapping this up, you have so much going on. How can people follow you? How can they support you? How can they find out more about your causes? Because I have a feeling there's going to be people that are going to say, like me, I had no idea that my son would have fit under the organization that you're raising awareness. You made me aware of that today. Thank you for that. You educated me.
It's a small world. It really is. And, you know, there are people that are coming out of the woodworks that didn't even know they had a craniofacial condition. And I think one of our next biggest projects, in addition to this Health and Wellness Festival by Iron Sharpen Iron, is a craniofacial health and wellness retreat that we're going to start doing annually next year. And this is going to, because there's a lot of people with craniofacial conditions that have died. There are ongoing deaths. There's a 3-year-old that just passed away in her sleep. And there was another 3-year-old last year, that same thing, from sleep apnea, the inflammation, and, you know, me having restricted airways, and I reversed having to use a CPAP device. I no longer use one of those, and all it was just going vegan and organic. So I think having a wellness retreat that offers a social environment, really giving them a takeaway amount of knowledge that they need to thrive in their life, is what we're really focus on, not eliminating the medical system, because there are medically necessary surgeries you're going to need, but there are many that you don't need. And there is a big money making industry. And I think just for your own safety and your children, you really need to be mindful of what surgeries you're partaking in, what age you're partaking in at, and what you're putting in your body health wise, foods.
And you know, I had to say that I didn't realize we had so many comments because I've been so involved in what we've been talking about. And your husband was really generous, and I want to make sure that we get some of this information that he shared, because it was very, very good. And so I want to take a few moments to do that. And I've got one of our chemo buddies for life, Helene. Good to see you here, Helene. And you know, there's good information that we need to be really taking notes from, because you know, there's a lot of good information. Well, Darius, thank you for being here. And true, those stairs can be discouraging, but the more comfortable we get in with ourselves, they won't bother us as much.
So true.
And you're there now, aren't you? And what you were talking about with the smiles and wanting to smile as when you're on, you know, on the runway, rather than have that stare.
Like that attitude, because that's what I think it's because that's what I used to do. I used to put this facade up, and I was so angry and I was so negative. And honestly, you couldn't picture that, right? But I was a lot of drama in my younger days. Thane had a lot to deal with because there was just so much I hadn't dealt with, and I was polluted with all these chemicals through the foods and the prescriptions. I really didn't know better. So I think giving people an opportunity to see how they can change their life, just the simplicity of what you're eating, and also being mindful of who you surround yourself around too, because that's another factor. That's a different topic in itself. But the top 5 people you're going to want to be in a positive mindset, someone who's good for you and that makes you feel good, and that you're not draining yourself, and you're, you know, because you can help people, but you can't help them in the ways that we do. Like, you can't help someone when you're doing their paperwork for them, or you're doing this for, I mean, you could lead by example, but taking over and doing things, they don't really appreciate it, for one, all the time, and it takes a lot out of you. Like, we have to nurture ourselves on all levels of what we eat, who we surround ourselves, our actions, instead of embroiling ourselves in other people's stuff.
Well said. Bravo. I couldn't have said it better, because you know it's true. They do say that really be aware of who it is that you are spending time with, because it's that old muscle test. It's that very first time I was ever at a conference where I saw something like this. I was probably in my 20s, and I don't want to say how old I am, but that's a few decades ago. Okay, yes.
Oh, I wouldn't even know. You look so young.
It's all an attitude. I have a young attitude, Cynthia. You know, I don't even think about how old I am. I never have. So anyway, it was one of those situations where, you know, they had a volunteer put their arms out, and you had to go out of the room. And then they said, you know, when they come back, we're going to have to put, and just say, really, don't say it out loud, say horrible things in your mind. So, you know, and the whole muscle test, right? You know, boom. So then you go out, okay, loving, wonderful, very positive, happy thoughts. And then the arms go up. And I was the one, you know, because I'm a joiner, I'm a volunteer, or yeah, let's do this. I'm interested. And I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it. It is the very first time I've seen it in a long time was when I went to a conference not long ago, and they actually used it for kind of another concept, but it was the same test. And it was how our thoughts and the energy of our thoughts, how what we are projecting, and the sum of those 5 or 6 people that we have in our world, if we are allowing them allowing them, they're not going to change. We can't change people. That's not what we're meant to do. They need to change if they want. You can love people unconditionally, but you don't necessarily always have to be around them all the time if
Right.
it's not going to serve you, right? And everything, oh, your husband's so wise. So everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. It can be no other way. This is not philosophy, this is physics.
And you know, one thing I want to add to that is, and this is so true, everything you say, everything that you think, every action that you do either counts for or against you, per the universal laws. You literally create a ripple effect in everything that you say, do, or think.
It's funny that you would say that, my dear. We are in the same wavelength. I've been talking a lot lately, and others have that have even come on here about the ripple effect. I
Yep.
think that there's a lot of feeling in regards to, because there's a lot going on right now out there. We all know that, and
Oh, yeah.
and the question is, maybe if you want to share, share. If you don't, ask yourself though, and be honest with yourself. What is your ripple effect? What is your ripple effect? I have a feeling I know yours. Yours is for good. I have a feeling I know things because he's been showing it too. You both have for good.
Oh, thank
And
you.
you're welcome. You're welcome. But, there are those that if they're really honest with themselves, they may have an awakening right now and say, I don't know that my ripple effect has been for good. I don't know that I ever thought about it. And not thinking about it, that's okay. However, now you're watching this. Why don't you think about it and then be honest with your answer? And if you don't like your answer, go out there and do something about it. There's amazing things you can do. We are all connected. That's so true. Your disruption disrupts others. Ooh, it's
Yeah,
heavy.
that's my husband. He's so smart. He's like a modern day Einstein. Sometimes in the morning I can't turn him off. I'm like, oh, I gotta think.
Yeah, look at Thane Murphy, Albert Einstein. There it is. It's in writing. You're right.
Oh my
Oh, you're
God.
delightful, my dear.
Oh,
I
you.
keep going forever and talking with you because you just are a wealth of information. You've got an amazing heart. You're
You
completely
too.
intelligent and you're not show off about it. You
Oh,
just you just a total package. What can I say?
oh, thank you, Tamara. I love you. We
Well,
both
I
love
love you. I just love you too. Now, as we end, what are your parting nuggets that you want to share? What's a thought or something that you would just like to say before we close our show today?
Oh, goodness. Well, I'm very grateful that you had me, and I just would just say to kind of uh, put yourself out there in the face of knowledge, and don't stop learning. There's so much information out there, and really just focus on your health, because that's what's really going to get you to the places that you want to go, because we don't need to continuously feel trapped in a glass case of emotion. We can, we're supposed to go through this life, through every experience, and we're not allowed to know the outcome, but we can be comfortable in knowing what we want the outcome to be. And we can manifest that through good actions, good thoughts, good, just nature, and putting yourself out there in that way to everyone. Don't judge anybody,
Oh,
because
yes.
that's just going to come back on you.
Right. What do they say that if you point a finger at someone, you have one finger going towards that person and four coming back at you? And I never even liked, that's why it's hard for me to even do it. Like whenever my kids were like, unless it was a dance, like a John Travolta, Saturday Night Live or something. Da, 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 okay, yeah. All right. So gotta have a little fun. But other than that, really, really look at that. I love it. see, Catherine, it's so hard to imagine you as having once been angry and self-destructive person that you have described yourself once being. You are so opposite of that now. I completely concur with you, Catherine. She is. They
Thank you,
both
guys.
are. They
Love
both
you
are.
both. Oh.
Education is power. E- elevate. Yes. Okay, we got it. Elevate your vibration to become what you dream. Upon that, I think he gets the last words.
He usually does.
So we let them think. All right. You know, it's been so delightful to have you with me. And as we close this amazing time together, so we close day number 289 of 365 days of awesome. Celebrate success through service.
Yes.
You and your husband, Cynthia and Thane Murphy, you both embody what this whole program was designed to be. It was to celebrate those people that go out and are willing to serve, and not to do it to their horn, to toot their horn, but to make a difference, and understanding that and doing that, and educating others, and in being an inspiration. You are helping to change the world, and it's one person at a time, but that's what changes the world.
I think so. I hope so.
That's what you're doing. I treasure you. I treasure you as a friend, and I'm grateful to have you in my world. And keep up the awesome work. I can't wait to
Yes,
see.
can't wait.
There's so much coming around the corner with what you're doing. But I have to say, that fashion show in November, that
Oh,
sounds pretty fun.
I'm excited, and I'll be sending you a message too about some of the events coming up and seeing what we can do to kind of, because it's all about collaboration and building something together. The awareness, the funds needed. I mean, all of that is on a collaborative basis.
I love it. I love it. I'll collaborate with you any day.
Yay.
All right, my dear. Have a wonderful evening. Go eat something yummy and green or fruits, but he'll keep you on the right timetable for all of that.
Thank you for having me. We love you.
Love you too. Love you both. Bye.